Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Matchweek 15 predictions. What is it, the second final week before the World Cup begins? I don't know, I keep on saying it every single video, but it's astonishing to me how insanely fast the season's going by.
It is time.
But saying that, although our focus is on the World Cup at the moment, we've got fantastic games to look out for this match week, with Chelsea versus Arsenal, Liverpool versus Tottenham Hotspurs. Although the World Cup is right around the corner, we still have a lot to talk about for this Premier League match week. It could go down in the history books. Obviously guys, don't forget, if you do enjoy these Premier League prediction videos, do leave a comment down below giving me your predictions. I think the person with the most accurate predictions from last week, I think there were 2 people with 6 out of 10 predictions correct. Not bad, but let's see if we can beat it in today's video. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, it does help the channel out. But jumping into game number 1 of Premier League Match Week 15, we have Leeds United versus Bournemouth, 14th place versus 15th in the Premier League. This will be an absolutely fantastic game. I feel like it could go either way. Although Bournemouth have gotten more points in their last 7 games compared to Leeds United, Leeds United are just coming off of a 2-1 win versus Liverpool. Once again, this game could be so incredibly close, it could go either way, but I'm going to go for a Leeds United 2-1 win. Now the reason I'm giving it to Leeds is I think they were absolutely ruthless and they were astonishing versus Liverpool, really showing it that they can give absolutely everything. Looking at Bournemouth, my one worry for them is the fact that Neto is injured, the absolutely brilliant goalkeeper, saying that Travis is a good goalkeeper, but whether he can keep it out of the Neto, I'm not too sure about that. As I said, it will be an incredibly close game, but after that Liverpool performance, I have to give it to Leeds United. We then have the almighty Manchester City versus Fulham. Now, as much as I want to say I do give Fulham a chance here, realistically, I just don't see it happening for them. Last time they beat Manchester City was all the way in 2009.
It's been 84 years.
Erling Haaland was 9 years old then, and at the moment with his current form, he could score 9 goals past Fulham. Obviously, he has returned from injury, he is set to come back versus Fulham, and even an injured Erling Haaland, I think could almost score against any team in the Premier League. Unfortunately, Fulham, although I do really like this team, at the moment, Manchester City are just on a whole new level, and I do think they should get a pretty comfortable 3-0 win. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford is next. Once again, a super interesting fixture to look at because look at both of these two teams. Although I describe Brentford as really good and solid this season, they've actually only picked up 3 wins, which is only 1 more win more than Nottingham Forest. Once again, this Nottingham Forest team, it's so hard to predict. 1 second they look absolutely brilliant, the next they lose 5-0 to Arsenal. Looking at the history between these two teams in the last 10 fixtures, it is insanely close as you can see. 4 Nottingham Forest wins, 5 Brentford wins and 1 draw. This game has potential to go absolutely either way, and I'm not going to lie to you, despite the fact that they were absolutely crushed by Arsenal, I think Nottingham Forest can win this one. As I said, I do like this Brentford team, but Ivan Toney being out with an injury is a massive loss for them. As we know, solid number 9 up front will be called up to the England national team for the World Cup in my opinion, and without a player like him, I weirdly enough back Nottingham Forest. We then have Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Brighton. Now in the wild, I would always back the likes of Wolves versus Seagulls, but this time around, I really do think that the Seagulls will pick at the Wolves' eyes. Okay. As we know, Brighton have just come off of a 4-1 win versus Chelsea, really proving that maybe Graham Potter still works for them. I mean, Graham Potter, what a brilliant manager he is. Even after leaving Brighton, he still wins points for them. Once again, I've got no idea what went wrong for Chelsea in that game, but Brighton, they look brilliant. They've shown that they can be a solid team this season, and versus a Wolverhampton Wanderers team who have only scored 6 goals this entire season, saying that now Diego Costa's out with a red card in the most Diego Costa way possible. Jimenez is out with an injury. They've got absolutely no goal scorers in the team at the moment, unless you count Ruben Neves from the penalty spot. I do think Brighton are the outright favourites here with their current form. I back them to make it a reasonably comfortable win, and I think it could get ugly. We then have Everton versus Leicester City next. Once again, another super interesting game. Each of these two teams have only won 3 games this entire season. Once again, very underwhelming from the both of them, but they've both had really interesting performances because if you look at Everton, now I didn't realize this, but they've actually only had 1 loss this entire season versus a team that's not in the top 6.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Once again, I think it kind of goes under the radar, but Everton have actually gotten some decent points versus some decent clubs this season. Looking at Leicester City, they've really picked up since the beginning of the season, where they were just not getting points for anything, to really getting a good string of games together. Even in that 1-0 loss versus Man City, although yes, they were dominated, they definitely had their part in that game. Once again, I think the fact that having a goalkeeper like Ward between your posts, having tied for the third most clean sheets in the Premier League this season, just proves to us that we live in a simulation and nothing we believe in is real anymore. But I do like this Leicester City team, and versus this Everton team, I do think it could go either way, which is kind of why I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I think both teams are very, very similar at the moment, and they will share the points. We then have arguably the biggest game of Premier League Matchweek 15 with Chelsea versus Arsenal. Now, as we know, this is such a gigantic game in the world of football, especially in the world of English football. And looking at these two teams, although yes, both seem to be in really decent form in terms of their points, I do think there is a strong favourite here. I think looking at these two teams and the last few fixtures between them, Arsenal have heavily dominated this fixture. I mean, in the last 6 games, Chelsea have only picked up 1 win versus Arsenal, which, I mean, that was before Arsenal became good.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Now looking at Arsenal, top of the Premier League, versus a Chelsea team that have just lost 4-1 to Brighton. I hate to say it to the Chelsea fans, but I do think there is an obvious winner here, and I think it could get ugly. Although, once again, I'd like to say it's going to be entertaining. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win in Arsenal's favour. I do think that they are the favourites here, because although looking at Chelsea, yes, they have been getting a lot of points lately under Graham Potter. A lot of their points I wouldn't describe as being that convincing. We're looking at Arsenal, they are getting points in a very convincing fashion, and because of that, I do think they'll get the points. Once again, I think a hot topic is going to be Emery Aubameyang returning to the Emirates, although once again, he kind of has a reputation of arriving late to the Emirates, so we'll see if he shows up. Now moving on, we've got my team Manchester United versus Aston Villa. Now, is it going to be a very good evening for Aston Villa, as they have a brand new manager with Unai Emery.
Good evening.
As we know, absolute legend of a game. I mean, I just can't believe we're in an era where Aston Villa have a manager with more European trophies than Man United. But it is the world that we live in. I feel like it could be a very interesting matchup. I've got no idea how he's going to manage his first game with Aston Villa. But I do think looking at these two teams, looking at Man United, once again, just because Aston Villa have got a brand new manager, we don't know his system yet. We don't know whether he's going to work well with a team like Aston Villa. And because of that, I am going to go with the Man United win. I'm going to give them a clean sheet because finally, I never thought I'd say that after the beginning of the season, but we finally seem to be getting clean sheets.
Oh, it's a Christmas miracle.
This Man United team looks very, very good at the moment, and there's no way we're going to lose to Aston Villa. Southampton versus Newcastle United is next. Now, to be honest with you, I can only see it going one way, as Newcastle United, once again, only 1 loss all season, currently 4th place in the Premier League, versus a team that are currently only 1 position off of the relegation zone. There can only be 1 winner. I like the Southampton team, but they just aren't performing that great lately. And looking at Newcastle United, they've just been pulling off some brilliant performances. They've been getting clean sheets, they've been scoring goals. Wilson's looked absolutely fantastic up front. Once again, I just cannot believe that Jack Grealish, he created a monster with Almiron. That's why you can't say anything negative about any footballer out there, because it will come and bite you. I think Almiron has scored more goals in the Premier League this month than Jack Grealish has his entire Man City career. Once again, I think he really, really regrets it at the moment. But looking at Newcastle United, there's just no way they won't win this one. We then have our second final game of Premier League Matchweek 15 with West Ham versus Crystal Palace. Once again, another super intense fixture with Crystal Palace currently 10th place in the Premier League, West Ham 13th. But West Ham have been gaining points rapidly lately. I do feel like they will end up winning this one. I am going to go with a 2-1 win. But once again, it could go absolutely either way. I like West Ham United. They've done super well in the Conference League, winning every single game that they had in the group stage. Although I will say versus Manchester United, I don't know if I was that convinced with them. If it wasn't for Kurt Zuma playing in their defense, they really struggled with many aspects of the game. But once again, as we know, when West Ham United hit top form, they can be brilliant, and I back them to take points from absolutely anyone. Saying that, I do like this Crystal Palace team though. I think versus Southampton, they really attacked well as a team, which is why I think they'll score. But as I said, I just think West Ham United are most likely to get the points. But ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our final game of Premier League Matchweek 15 with Liverpool versus Tottenham Hotspurs. Absolutely, what a gigantic game to talk about. Now, although looking at Tottenham Hotspurs, yes, they've definitely been in better form, as Liverpool are in 9th place, Tottenham are in 3rd place. I didn't realize this, but last time Tottenham Hotspurs beat Liverpool in the Premier League was in 2017. They haven't gotten a single win versus Liverpool in their last 10 games. It is absolutely shocking to hear about, but do I think things will change this time around? Once again, look at Tottenham Hotspurs. They've been impacted by some gigantic injuries, with Kulusevski, with Heung-min Son, with Romero in defence. This Tottenham Hotspurs team is absolutely plagued with injuries at the moment. Saying that, look here at Liverpool. They've just lost back-to-back Premier League games versus relegation zone clubs. Once again, Liverpool not in good space at the moment. They could definitely take a hard loss versus Tottenham Hotspurs, which is exactly why I'm going to go with a 1-0 win. Yes, I know it's a brave result. I'm so tempted to go for a draw here, but with a game of this absolute magnitude, I feel like you just have to predict a win here. I feel like it would be disrespectful to predict a draw here. As I said, looking at Liverpool, they just haven't been in great form, which is why I think Spurs will win. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my Premier League Match Week 15 predictions. I hope that you did enjoy the video. If you did, please do like and subscribe down below. It does help the channel out. And yo, as I said, the World Cup is right around the corner. We've only got one more Premier League prediction video after this one. Once again, the season is going so insanely fast. Don't forget to put your predictions down below. And yo, let me know which team you support in the comment section down below. I don't know. I just feel like asking you guys a question. Let me know who you guys support. But until next time, Finn, FYNN, cheers.